There's no better way to stand out as a great business leader in your area than by going to fancy events. I didn't say fundraisers. These events bring together the best business people around. So what happens at a fancy event? You sit at a table, and in America, we ask two main questions. What are those questions? What is your name? And what do you do? If you want to succeed, especially when starting a company, you need to work really hard. If you think about it, if someone works 50 hours and you work 100, you'll get twice as much done in a year as they will. Are all these efforts leading to a better product or service? If not, then stop those efforts. I have 24 hours a day, just like Bill Gates. I have 24 hours a day, just like Beyoncé and Jay-Z. You have 24 hours a day too, everyone. What do you do with your 24 hours? If you want to have a successful life, you should avoid doing things you are not good at. Once you understand this, you can find the right paths. Stay open-minded. I noticed that at fancy events, there were successful people I wanted to meet. So, I started making connections. I built a name for myself by meeting top business people in my area because I went to these fancy events. If you own a business, buying a tuxedo is really important. Meditation is the best gift I can offer anyone, and it is a big reason for my success. If you want to be a millionaire, you need to think like one. You can't pretend to be someone you're not. Do you understand what I'm saying? You have to be real in this game. You can't fake it in the NBA. You need to show your skills. You need to be good at playing basketball. You need to be real. In business, it's the same. You have to be real. So use your money to learn and then spend some to get access. If you can move past your pride and your blind spots, you can achieve anything because you know you don't have to do it all alone. You can learn from others about the best ways to do things. I give to others, and good things come back to me. Be kind in your community. Be a giver in your community. Get to know other givers in your community, and I promise you, something will change in your heart, something will change in your culture, and something will change in your wallet. If you turn your passion into your work, that's wonderful. As you grow older, your responsibilities will grow. When you have a family, you start taking chances, not only for yourself, but for them too. It becomes much harder to try things that might not succeed. So, now is the time to take those chances before you have those duties. I urge you to be bold and take risks now. You might regret it later. SpaceX's lack of experience could affect safety. They spoke out against commercial space travel. I wish they would come see the equipment we have in Canada. I think it would change their views. Those people are my heroes. There are many more ways to fail than to succeed. For a rocket, there are about 1,000 ways it can fail and only one way it can succeed. There could be many rocket failures. What I want to do is make a real change in space travel and help make it possible for almost anyone. We need reasons to get up each day. Life can't just be about fixing problems. Otherwise, what's the point? There are things that inspire people and make life enjoyable. If someone is doing something helpful for others, I think that's great. It doesn't need to change everything. If what you're doing is valuable to people, that's good enough. Not everything has to change the world to be worthwhile. If you want to succeed, especially if you are starting a business, you need to work very hard. For example, if one person works 50 hours and you work 100, you'll get twice as much done in a year. I can be a bit impulsive, and I don't want to follow a strict CEO plan. People often tend to think positively about things. A tough thing for business owners is to figure out the difference between truly believing in your goals and chasing a dream that may not be possible. Can you tell those apart? I think it helps to focus on something you believe will be valuable to others and to be careful in making that choice. Being very determined is key, and you have to work really hard. You need to put in 80 to 100 hours each week. It can be really hard and tough. All these efforts can help you succeed. I believe that if we can grow the world's knowledge and expand our understanding, we can ask better questions and become wiser. That's the only way to move ahead. That's amazing. There is no such thing as writer's block. He said that what you're feeling is performance anxiety that you've put on yourself because your expectations are too high. He suggested just lower your standards. Lower your standards until you get started. We talked about some patterns I've noticed. Almost everyone I interview does meditation or journaling. What can I learn from the people I dislike the most? This does two things. It makes you separate your moral views from your search for success. It also helps you build some empathy. Those two things are very strong. So what can I learn from the people I dislike the most? It is a really helpful practice. I often journal about that. Are you just busy, or are you truly productive? What makes you angry was one key piece of advice from a writer named Poe Bronson. When I asked him how to deal with writer's block, he said to write about what makes you angry. On your mistakes. Of course, there are things you need to improve, but some flaws can turn into strengths. I think this is another way to spark creativity or make anything happen. Understanding that your biggest flaws can actually be advantages. This is Derek's advice to his younger self and to anyone in their 20s or 30s, but it applies to everyone. You can do almost anything you want in life, but you can do it at different times. If you can focus on one thing for even a year, then move to the next thing for a year, you can achieve those 10 goals. He said when he feels really stressed, he just takes a break because he knows that 95 is enough to get most of the results he wants and keep it going. Right now, the impact I want to have on the world is to create a kind group of super learners who test what seems impossible. Are you chasing antelope, or are you chasing field mice? The story he would share is about a lion in the Serengeti. He said, if you always chase field mice as a lion, you'll get a snack. You might survive, but you could end up hungry because you're only getting these small bites. Those aren't his words, they're mine. They might make you feel good and give you the idea that you are doing something important. For me, that means, are you busy or are you really getting things done? Yes. In 3 years I doubled my NBA income in the market. Do you hear me? And I've never had a real job. But I have the right mindset. Lesson 1. To reach the next level, here's what you need. Information. You need to find information. No offense, I don't even watch TV. CNN doesn't pay my bills. Okay. Power doesn't pay my bills. I don't even watch TV. I might see a sports event. I don't get upset about a football game. I love to watch football. I don't watch TV. Why? I think it's a waste of time. I have 24 hours in a day, just like Bill Gates. I have 24 hours in a day, just like Beyonce and Jay-Z. You have 24 hours in a day too. What do you do with your 24 hours? You should learn more in our coaching program. We share information all the time. People say, wow, I didn't know that. Wow, I didn't know that. You don't even know what you don't know. How did I catch up to you? Studies show that the better we look, the more money we earn. This means your website should look good. Your trucks should look good. Your team should look good. You should look good. Find your dream place, but you can't stay stuck where you are. You need to listen and go to your dream place. Your dream place might be Utah. Your dream place might be Minnesota. Your dream place might be Wyoming. Listen to me clearly. You should spend your money to get information and access. And you need to be open because a true shark is open. Can we stop arguing and be honest about this? If I can do it, you can too. I didn't know anything about life. I didn't know anything about business, but I had the right attitude, and I learned it from sports. You all need to hear my story so you get it. I didn't even start on my college basketball team. I came off the bench. At the University of Minnesota, I came off the bench. But in my mind, you can bring me off the bench, but I'm an NBA player when you are done talking. When you are done, I'm an NBA player. That's why I would walk around and say, you can't guard me, you can't guard me, you can't guard me. If I were you, I would walk around every day and say, I'm a millionaire. I'm a millionaire. I say it now. I am worth millions. I am worth millions. I will get my money now, but I won't take it as my worth. Take in what you hear now, but don't see it as your worth. There's more out there for you if you change how you think. Many people never really look at where they are. You need to know your starting point to see your chances of getting what you want in life. If we can lower stress, then the same way to do that will help you have a steady career over time. Often, people say they want to change, but it's too hard or too expensive. They might quit smoking but then gain weight. Or they might go back to school for a degree. There is a way to do this, and you can set a date for many things. If it makes sense, you should. But, for example, when do you finish school? You don't, right? You finish school, but you never stop learning. If you answered any of those questions with a no, then what you have is not a goal. It's just a dream. That dream needs a solid base. To create a winning mindset, you should take some time. This might surprise you after what I've said, but you need to take time to be still. You should do this at least 4 or 5 times a week. Many people say, that guy keeps saying time for this and time for that. I don't have time for everything. Let me show you how to gain an extra 3 hours each day, I promise. Over 70% of the time you spend watching TV is on stuff you don't care about. Here's a suggestion. Take a slow, relaxed walk that means nothing. Just let your mind drift. This isn't for exercise, but a calm walk. Find a quiet spot in your home where you can relax sometimes. If you need to wake up 30 minutes earlier, that's great. I don't know why, but I tend to wake up earlier in winter than in summer. When I wake up, it's very dark. I go to my cozy office, turn on the gas log, and sit there. Every time I do this, I end up having the best day ever. I quickly think about the things I will do. As you plan your day and remember all the things to be happy about, it really brings back your energy and makes you look forward to the day. Now, let me tell you something. This will be one of the hardest things you ever try. When you sit down and say, I will stay perfectly still for 20 or even 30 minutes, you will have thoughts about things you need to do. You may wonder if you should open or close the window. Should you turn the heat up or down? Should you turn off the air conditioner or make it colder? Do you really need to go to the bathroom? Should you get a cup of coffee? What is that noise outside? Maybe I should check on that. Fight the urge. Spend a few minutes in quiet thought. It really does help. Take time to be still. Futurist Peter Diamandis says that between 2022 and 2026, we will see as much change as from 1900 to 2000. In 4 years, starting next month, there will be big changes like we saw in those years. New technologies and chances are coming. The whole area of Web3 is starting now. This means there will be many chances for change. If you run a traditional company and you're not quick to adapt, this is bad for you. It's really bad news. There will be big changes for businesses everywhere. But if you are an entrepreneur or want to be one, this is great news because there will be many chances for you to challenge the big companies. I started Mind Values and Experiments. One of the best skills to learn is how to make money. But I was smart. I didn't quit my regular job. Here's something really interesting. A study shows that if you leave your job to start a business, you are 30% less likely to succeed. So this idea that you should quit your job and go all in is just wrong. Don't do that. The reason is that if you leave your job, it may take time for your new business to grow, right? That could be a year or even 5 years. For me, it took 5 years. I was one of the slowest to start. But if you quit your job, you might not have money coming in, and that can cause stress, which will hurt your performance, your thinking, and your ability to grow your business. Why is change so important? Because our university system teaches us things that are not useful and do not connect to our future success. I don't think people need a college degree. I don't think a college degree will affect your success as a business owner, in your job, or your happiness in life. Still, we spend 4 years studying hard. Many Americans go into a lot of debt to get a college degree. You should put your personal growth first. Your meditation, personal growth, reading, and gym time should come first. They should matter more than your business. As you improve, your business will improve. When you focus on your personal growth, even if a business fails or an idea does not work, you come out with new knowledge, new skills, and a better version of yourself that can do better next time. That's rule number 1. If you want to be successful in life, you shouldn't try to do things you are not good at. Once you understand this, you can discover the right paths for yourself. You stay open-minded. The key to good investing is written in 3 pages, and it shares this important idea. When I had this realization, it changed everything for me, and it's very important for the average person listening. Let me explain why. Many people think they can win in a tough game by going against what most people believe. You know what I mean? For example, an investor might say, I'm going to enter the markets and make money by going against the crowd. But the crowd's opinion is already included in the price. So, think of it like going to a horse race with handicaps. You won't always choose the best horse or the best company. A bad company can be a better choice than a good one. A bad horse can be a better bet too because the odds change. When you bet on the long shot, it could pay off 25 to 1 if it wins. You might have just as good a chance to win by betting on the long shot as on the favorite. This means you could make money either way. If not, the market would act differently. The market works like this. If everyone thinks something is great, then everyone bets on it, and its price goes up. It's not always about what's best. It's about what's best compared to the price and any discounts. When everyone faces a crash, you have to deal with it, and you either have a realization or you don't. You can choose to walk away and give up on your big goals, or you can become more humble and realize you might be wrong. The key is to find smart people who disagree with you. In the investment world, you have to go against what most people think to make money because that's already included in the price. As an entrepreneur, I had to do the same. Bet against the common belief and be right. Gaining that humility is important. You either leave the game or you learn. The biggest tragedy for people is that they hold on to wrong ideas in their heads without knowing how to test them. Some people believe that if they think it, then it must be true. They have their own opinions. It's easy to move past this if you think about how to go beyond it. I say this because I enjoy working with others where we can share ideas, discuss them, and find the best answer. It's about being open-minded and learning while also being confident as we try to solve things together. In any relationship, you need to figure out how to make choices. There will be times you agree and times you disagree, and it's important to have the skill to disagree respectfully. People find their roles in different ways. Someone might say, I'll handle this part, and you take care of that. I don't know. Some people, in a traditional family might say, okay, I'll handle making money, and the man goes out to earn money, while one woman says, I'll take care of the kids. We aren't in that situation anymore. But each role, you have to learn how to disagree in a thoughtful way. It makes sense. Also, knowing what you're good at and what you're not good at is important. It's helpful to know your strengths and weaknesses. We teach things that are often not taught in school, as I have mentioned, but I want to mention another point. 90% of visits to doctors are linked to stress, directly or indirectly. 90%. My stress level is high, and I have as many deadlines as anyone else you know. It's always a book I'm working on, a class I'm teaching, a seminar I'm presenting, and each one needs time and focus. How many of you feel like I've given this talk before? Can I see your hands? Many times, right? I did it yesterday. You know what I did between yesterday and today? I spent over 6 hours preparing for today. I think it would be rude if I thought I could just stand up and say it again just because I did it yesterday or many times before. That's being rude. When you respond to life instead of just reacting is not good. If you get sick, you go to the doctor. She gives you medicine and says come back tomorrow. You walk in the next day and she says, oh, it's not working. We need to change the medicine. You might feel a bit worried, but she smiles and says, hey, it's working. So she has just responded. You feel better because now you see real hope to move forward in life. I wonder how many of you know the name Howard Hill. He was a good boy from Alabama and an archer. They say he was the best in the world. He took part in 287 archery contests. He won first place 287 times. He was so skilled that he stopped competing early because other archers didn't want to try for second place. I've seen old films of Howard Hill where he split an arrow right in the middle of the target from 50 feet away. Then he would take another arrow and split the first one. He shot a Cape buffalo with a bow and arrow, which is one of the toughest animals to hunt. He also killed a Bengal tiger. He caught a 15-foot shark in 18 feet of water. Or was it an 18-foot shark in 15 feet of water? It was a really big one, and it was deep down there. I know that much. He was amazing, no doubt. So, let me make this clear. I've never shot. I could do it if you first blindfolded Howard Hill and turned him around a few times so he wouldn't know where to aim. You might think, Ziegler, that's crazy. How can someone hit a target they can't see? That's a good question, but here's a better one. How can you hit a target you don't even have? From Dan Carlin. Dan was a radio host before he became a podcast host. He often got criticized for going into the red. He would yell, and he was really loud, and he would sneak around and drive all the sound people crazy. Then he would get really quiet and whisper. They would be like, "Dude, come on, you're making this hard for me." His bosses would say, "Kid, what people want is a deep, strong voice for radio. I don't have that voice, so I can't do it." Later, he had such a unique voice that people started praising him. He thought, okay, so now this so-called problem he couldn't fix, he didn't fix it. He even avoided changing it by having the intro guys. They would say, "Please welcome," or "Please enjoy Dan Carlin." He would shout, whisper, or something like that. He had the intro guy add a note, so he didn't have to change his style, which later became a huge benefit. His term is copyright your fault. He's like, if someone copies me, he thinks that's great. He says, that's my thing. So you could ask this question, how can my biggest weaknesses be strengths? I think that's a helpful question to write about, which I usually do every morning, writing what are called morning pages. But since we're on the topic of creativity, we should discuss morning pages. Julia Cameron calls them spiritual windshield wipers. What I think that means is when you write morning pages, you might just be venting, like your worst self showing up on paper, just complaining. This helps you get those feelings out of your mind for the day. You won't have them bouncing around in your head like a stray bullet for the rest of your day, messing up everything else. You just trap it, you freeze it on paper. This practice has really helped me feel free. Not just for feeling good, but also to free up my CPU so I can focus on things that matter more. If I'm stuck thinking about all that stuff, like that guy and the dad, I should have just said goodbye. It's like having antivirus software that slows down your phone. Why is it so slow? Because you're holding on to silly grudges against people for little things. Who cares if the guy at Starbucks took the last bag of cashews? Come on, Ferris. It's really upsetting. So if I write it down, I'm like, okay, I've dealt with that. In the book, you want people to explore. What's one thing you hope no one skips? The book is split into 3 parts: healthy, wealthy, and wise, which is a nod to Ben Franklin. They all depend on each other, right? They are like the 3 legs of a stool: money, and wisdom. I believe you need all 3. Derek Sivers is a programmer, monk, thinker, and startup founder who started CD Baby, the biggest place for independent musicians back then. He sold it for about $24 million. He and Seth Godin are great examples of people who follow unusual rules that really work. Derek has some great short sayings that I love. One is, if more information were the answer, we'd all be rich with great bodies. That's a good one. Just reading and watching more isn't enough. You need to put it into action. You have to set up rewards and punishments for yourself so you actually finish things. You need deadlines and so on. That's one. Another saying is don't be a donkey. He tells himself this all the time. Like, don't be a donkey, don't be a donkey. The reason is there's a story about Buridan's ass. It's about a donkey who is thirsty and hungry. There's water on one side a few feet away and hay on the other. He can't decide if he should eat the hay first or drink the water. In the end, he dies of thirst because he couldn't choose one first. This is Derek's advice to his younger self and really to anyone in their 20s or 30s, but it works for everyone. You can do almost anything you want in life, but you can't do it all at once. If you can focus on one thing for even a year, then move to the next for a year, you can do those 10 things. But if you try to do all 10 at the same time, you'll feel stressed and confused, thinking, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I focus here or there? So, don't be like a confused donkey.